Good morning. Financial concerns dog every church in every era, and it is important for us to remember that our forebears ran into many of the same difficulties that we face today. For instance, obtaining financing for the construction of the Centenary Methodist Church building was every bit as arduous as finding the financing for our recent Restoring the Glory campaign. If you will notice this cornerstone of that building, you will notice the designation is Centenary MECS, and that stands for Methodist Episcopal Church South, and it was the predecessor of the United Methodist Church where we are meeting today. You will also notice that Mr. N.J. Clayton was the architect for the Centenary Church building. He also designed the Sacred Heart Catholic Church right here in Palestine, as well as the famous Bishop's Palace in Galveston. And you will also see the names of the men who wrestled with those financial issues. We know, for instance, that J.M. Conway, Dr. W.M. Shoemate, G.J. Gooch, and J.W. Osment, all shown here, served at one time or another as the trustees of the church, as well as on that building committee. Mr. Conway was a Civil War veteran, and returning from the war, became a prominent builder here in Palestine. And Mr. Shoemate was a farmer as well as a local doctor. He also served for a time as the alderman of the city of Palestine. Mr. Gooch was the oldest son of John Graham and Elizabeth Cravens Gooch, who had founded Palestine's first library using their own books. Also a veteran of the Civil War, Gideon Johnson Gooch was a prominent member of the church and the community. His brother, John Young Gooch, became a lawyer in partnership with John H. Reagan, who was also a Methodist in the church. And Mr. Gooch later became a mayor of Palestine and a district judge as well as a state senator. J.W. Osment, ancestor to Phil Jenkins and Linda Sweeney, Kay Callender, and Steve Jenkins, was a visionary and an entrepreneur. Also a Civil War veteran, he founded local mercantile and hardware stores, Palestine National Bank, Edison Electric Light Company, the Palestine High School Association, and Palestine's first telephone company as well. And in organizing our historical records, Phil Jenkins and I found a fascinating letter that was signed by Mr. Osment as chairman of the board of the trustees and Mr. John Young Gooch, attorney for the church. And in it they reveal the problem and the battle that the trustees waged in trying to find financing for the Centenary Church building. And let's listen in on that trustee meeting from January 29, 1886, and find out what their concerns were.
Go.
Actually, let's get together, man.
Yeah.
Let's get together.
Okay. That's fine. How are you?
I'm good. Good to see you.
Hi, Gideon. How you doing?
Get in.
How you doing, brother? Howdy.
Hey Doc, how are you?
Mr. Gooch, nice to have you with us today.
Gentlemen, the board of trustees of the church will come to order now. And Jim, will you act as secretary of the meeting and record those present as myself, J.W. Osment, chairman, and we have Dr. Shoemate.
Thank you.
And we have Mr. Gideon Gooch. And we have yourself, of course, Mr. Jim Conaway, and we have, at my request, Mr. John Y. Young, Esquire, also little brother of Gideon, who's going to be helping us in our matter today. So, there you go. And gentlemen, since this is a specially called meeting, let's dispense with the reading of the minutes and get to the matters at hand right away.
Yes, JW, what's the point of this special meeting you called?
Well, we've received a response to the letter we sent, and the letter is from Reverend Martin of the Committee on Extensions, Board of Extensions of the ME Church South. And rather than me trying to summarize the letter, John, will you just give us the gist of it?
Sure thing, JW. Thanks. Have the letter here, gentlemen. There's good news and there's bad news in it.
I don't want him to have this.
Unfortunately, more of the latter than the former. Now, the good news is that the Board of Extensions has approved the loan. They will loan us the money to pay for the construction of the new church.
Good. That's what we're going.
But there are a few provisos. First, they have not agreed to the 6-year payout we requested. They're asking for a 4-year loan.
Not gonna work. Can't do that.
And second, all you men as trustees of the church are to be personally, jointly, and severally liable for the loan.
No, wait a minute.
Gentlemen,
I move that we seek the funds elsewhere.
and where might that be?
Well, Palestine National Bank, of course.
Well, we talked about that before, gentlemen. That's not going to happen. Bank is not going to loan the money to this church.
Well, why won't they, JW? You're the president of the bank, for crying out loud.
Well, I am the president, but I've got a board that I've also got to answer to, and you know there's a lot of Baptists on that board, and they're just not going to loan the money to us. They've already told us that.
Why don't we just join the Baptist church in?
I'll do that.
Oh, y'all know I'm kidding about that, but it's really frustrating when our own denomination won't support us monetarily. And what's the purpose of having a board of extension if they won't help us out? There is no way we'll be able to pay the loan back in 4 years. The church is already financed this way.
I tried to tell you men that when we built it. We were far too ambitious, and ambition might have been this church. A smaller church, I said, with less expensive fixtures, but nobody listened to me.
Well, gentlemen, I don't see any help in us playing the I told you so game, so let's just go ahead.
Let me ask a question first, please. I don't quite understand this. I'm just a country doctor. Mr. Gooch, what does this jointly and severally liable business mean?
Well, it means, Doc, that everybody here at this table, except me, of course, is personally responsible for the loan. That means if the church defaults in payment, the Board of Extensions can pursue you. They can sue you in court. They can seize your assets. And what's more, they can, at their option, choose to go after one of you for repayment of the loan, or some of you, or all of you.
You know, being a Baptist is starting to look better and better.
Now, Mr. Gooch, surely we have some other option.
Well, I suggest that we offer a counteroffer to the Board of Extensions,
Saying what exactly?
repeating our original terms of application.
But they already rejected that before.
Gentlemen, it is my opinion that the Board of Extensions desires a Methodist church here in Palestine. Now, it's this board's duty to convince them to loan us the funds to do that. The building itself has ample security for the loan, so there's no risk to the Board of Extensions at all. And secondly, this is the most important part to me. I think we need to let them know that if they fail to loan the money to us on terms that we're comfortable with, the alternative is no Methodist church in Palestine at all. They'll come around. Trust me.
Gentlemen, questions, comments?
Well, I move we accept Mr. Gooch's recommendation and write a letter to that effect to the Board of Extensions.
Second motion. Good idea, brother.
I ain't signing a letter like that.
Jim, you know we won't have to. John and I will get together, draft a letter, sign it, send it off to Reverend Martin, and put it in the hands of the Lord. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Any opposed? No? Okay, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen, for your work. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Gentlemen, thanks for your service. Let's go home, tell the wives what we did tonight, and hope we don't have to sleep on the sofa.
Record of the Board of Extension's response, but because we sit here today, it can be assumed that the loan was approved. The actual letter found by Phil and I that was signed by J.W. Osmond and John Young Gooch reads as follows. Office of John Young Gooch, Attorney at Law, Palestine, Texas, January 29, 1886. Reverend David Martin, Conference Secretary of the Board of Extension of the Methodist Episcopal Church South. Dear Sir, your communication of the 18th has been received and duly, and we may say prayerfully, considered. The trustees declined to find themselves personally and individually liable for the whole amount of $2,000. The whole debt of the church amounts to about $3,000, and the church society has good notes on an old church building for which it can fully realize $1,000 or perhaps $1,250. And that will leave only $2,000 unpaid on a building with fixtures valued at $8,000. So it is therefore shown that we only desire to borrow 20% of the cash value of the property. The balance being chiefly paid or secured outside of the church property as heretofore stated. Our people are generally poor and unwilling to encumber their small surplus because they have given generously already to the extent of their ability. And your contract gives us but 4 years, while we had hoped for at least 6 years. So unless you help us, our church will be sold sometime this fall, and the $5,000 or $6,000 already expended will be totally lost. We have sought to make our church attractive and pleasant, but may have, in our earnest desire to do the best, reached beyond our means. Yet if we have done so, we meant well, and we know of no other to whom we can appeal than to your board. Can you not take the property on which 80% has already been paid as security and give 6 rather than 4 years to pay the debt? Yours very truly, J.W. Osmond, John Young Gooch, Counsel for the Church.